Hello everyone and welcome to Season 2 of the Icing on the Skate podcast. Hey, how's it going guys? How are we doing today? Chris, your internet's not very good today, buddy. He's gone already, folks. That's a great start, isn't it? So, yeah, we'll hope Chris gets his stuff sorted out in a sec. Is he back? No, he's not back yet. Okay. So, great start, guys. Great start. Literally, before we started, my computer decided to have a bit of a moment. I don't know what is going on with this hat here. Had a bit of a moment. Are we back now? Nope, we're not back yet. Right. Oh, there he is. Oh, is he here?
I'm back.
There he is.
Why when... I'm here. Why, when we've been on a Skype call now for half an hour, does it choose this exact moment to cut out my internet?
That's the way technology works, Chris. You know this, I know this, everybody knows this. So, yeah, hello everyone. It's been a while since we last sat down.
I do know this. Yeah, right.
Here. So, yeah, welcome to the Icing on the Skate podcast. For those of you who have never watched this before...
You wouldn't be able to tell, would you?
Yeah, exactly. For those of you who have never watched this, have no idea what's going on, or just don't understand this podcast, or have never watched it before, this is a mainly British hockey podcast that we have. We discuss all the stuff about the British Elite Ice Hockey League. We talk about some interesting stories from lower leagues in England, but it's mainly the Elite League. We also talk about the NHL as well. We also like to go into a little bit about some of the other leagues around the world. For example, today we've got something on Russia's KHL and the National Women's Hockey League over in North America. So some interesting news there. And we also like to look at all of the Brits. We like to have a bit of a chat about it. We like to have the live chat, which I've got right there. I've got it on an iPad here. Hello. It's a green screen, so you can't really see the iPad because it's got a green case. But still, we've got the live chat there. So I can see everything that you guys are putting up there. If you have any comments or questions as we go along, we'll take a look at it and see where to go from there, essentially. Oh, I'm starting to drop frames a little bit. That's very helpful. What a great start here for the Icing on the Skate podcast. Seems to be doing relatively okay, but it's having a few issues. I love this, guys. We're doing really well for our opening. I'm so glad you could make it. Let me just figure out what's going on here. I might just drop the...
Slick.
Yeah, for sure. Let's just go 2,000 on that. My apologies, guys. Okay, so we should be a little bit better now. My bad. Right, let's try and get this started before any other technical problems take place, shall we, Chris? For those of you who don't know, that's Chris. He does commentary stuff, and he's pretty good at it. And he has dealt with at least one season of me taking the piss out of him all season, so he decided to come back for more. I don't know who's crazier, me or him. So anyway, Chris, would you like to take us through the first few games of the Elite Ice Hockey League for this season? It's the 1920 season. We've had a few games over the last week or so. Take us through them all.
Oh, I forgot we did that.
Do you need me to bring it up?
Right. No. I've got it. I just forgot that we did it. Right. Okay. We'll start.
Days, guys.
Oh, whatever. Right. I'm just doing the domestic? Am I leaving Belfast and Cardiff out of it for the minute?
Yeah.
Okay. Right. So Sunday, September the 1st, Panthers 5, Steelers 1 in the Challenge Cup, and Stars 7, Clan 2.
You forgot on the day before,
and then into
where the Panthers got completely smoked.
That's because it's on September only. That's why.
Okay. There you go.
Right, the 31st of August.
We're giving a really good first impression here, aren't we?
Honestly, give us a couple of weeks and we'll be right back into this. Right,
by the end of the 31st we'll have it sorted out.
Yeah, and I'll have won the Fantasy League again. Right.
Shut up.
So, Saturday the 31st, I'll do all the Challenge Cup, it's easier than flicking.
Sure.
Saturday the 31st of August, Steelers 8, Panthers 4, and then Clan 3, Stars 6. Then Sunday the 1st, Panthers 5, Steelers 1, Stars 7, Clan 2. Saturday the 7th, so this Saturday just gone, Flyers 2, Clan 3, and last night, Stars 0, Flyers 2. In the Elite League, it's on Saturday.
Oh, for God's sake.
What's going on?
I have no idea. Right. It says that we're back. I'm hoping that we're back.
Right.
This has gone really badly on every single
Oh,
end possible.
I don't understand how it's gone so badly. We managed to do
Yeah,
half an hour. It was fine.
yeah.
Oh,
It
apparently,
says we're
Max says we're
back,
back.
so that's good.
Okay.
Are we back,
Right.
guys? I really do apologise for all of these technical difficulties. Of course, like, we did loads of test stuff before this, and of course, the one time we actually need it to go right, everything's like, nah, you don't need to go right. So, apologies again. Chris's
I
Skype
think it's
messed up,
fine.
my internet's messed up, but we're back. Okay, so
I
just
think
want to
it's
run
fine
through the
between the
Elite League
two of
games
us
again.
right now. It's the streaming that's doing it. Or you want me to go through the games again?
Just the Elite League games. Did you guys get the Challenge Cup games? This is so great.
Right.
Yeah, live
Elite League.
streaming.
Flames 1, Panthers 3, Storm 3, Stars 1, Steelers 4, Blaze 6, Blaze 1, Steelers 4. Right.
Okay, so we're gonna
Standings.
have to get through this in like 5 seconds, aren't we?
Right. Standings. Well, this isn't taking into account. Oh no, it is. Okay, right. First, Storm. Second, Panthers. Third, Blaze. Fourth, Steelers. Fifth, Giants. Sixth, Flyers. Seventh, Devils. Eighth, Clan. 9, Flames. 10th, Stars.
So just
Moving
to
on.
preface that, the Giants, the Flyers, the Devils, the Clan haven't played any regular season games yet, so
That's true.
they're all on 0 points, 0 games played. Manchester,
Correct.
Nottingham, Coventry, and Sheffield in 1, 2, 3, 4. They've all played at least one game. Coventry and Sheffield have played 2. They're all on 2 points, so they're basically 1, 2, 3, 4, all on same points. And Guildford and Dundee, they're on 0 points, but they've both lost their first game of the season, so that's why that didn't go relatively well for them. So,
Yes.
yeah, that's all the action that's happened so far. Like Chris said, we've had a lot of Challenge Cup more than Elite League. The Elite League only properly started this weekend, which is why we thought about doing our podcast today.
Yes.
rather
Oh,
than
yeah.
last
While
week.
are we going to go through the cup because you didn't want me to explain the format to you so you can get a live
I'm
reaction?
going to preface this by saying I've been in Canada all summer, and I'm not quite sure. I never really read properly the new like Challenge Cup format because of course we've dropped a team compared to last year.
We have.
So we've obviously had to change the layout of it a little bit. So I asked Chris. Chris and I had a chat I think a day or so ago, 2 days ago, and
Yeah.
he was going to explain the Challenge Cup format. For those of you who don't know, the Challenge Cup is a domestic cup that takes place during the season of the Elite League. Whilst they're playing regular season games, they also have Challenge Cup games. It's just like another trophy to win. Kind of like the FA Cup in football, but it's only in the Elite League, you know? So
Yeah.
hopefully that makes sense to you guys that don't follow the league that much. But yeah, apparently they've got some crazy, ridiculous rules this year, which I really want to hear. So Chris, take it away.
Well, you would think that with with 10 teams, 2 groups of 5 would be the more obvious solution.
Absolutely. Common sense.
But no, we are going with a group of 4 and 2 groups of 3.
Right, which was kind of similar to last year, because they had 2 groups of 4 and a group of 3, didn't they? Because it was Sheffield, Nottingham, Manchester in the 3-team group.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
So, this season in Group A, there are 4 teams: the Stars, the Flyers, the Clan, and the Giants.
So basically, all the Scottish teams.
Scotland and Belfast.
So Belfast
Yes.
are going to wipe the floor with that. Got it. Okay.
What we've got Scotland, Midlands, South is the best of saying it.
Okay. Right.
So then Group B is the Devils, the Flames, and the Blaze. So the southern
Okay.
teams.
Devils,
And then
Flames,
Group
Blaze,
C
yep.
is Steelers, Panthers, and Storm, the middle.
Okay. Logistically, that makes sense. Like, I'll give them credit for one thing. Those groups do make sense.
Okay, so in Group A, where there are 4 teams,
Right.
they play each other home and away once for a total of 6 games,
Makes sense.
right? And then the bottom team is eliminated.
Okay. So far, sounding good.
And the other 3 teams go through into the quarterfinals.
I mean, you'd think it would be 2 out of the 4 teams. 'Cause otherwise, right. Okay. I'm starting to see the flaws here.
In Groups B and C, you play home and away twice for a total of 8 games.
Because there's only 3 teams.
Because there's only 3 teams.
Got it. Okay.
And then the top 2 teams in each group go through to the quarterfinals.
The top 3 teams, did you say?
No, 2 teams.
Top 2 teams. Okay, so we've
So
eliminated
then you're
one from
left.
Group A. We've eliminated
Yeah.
one from Group C.
No, no,
No.
no, 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 no.
No.
Right.
Oh.
You eliminate. Right. So in Group A, 1 gets eliminated, 3 go through.
Right.
In Group B,
Oh, it's Group
2
B.
go
Sorry.
through.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
In Group B, 2 go through, so you've got 5.
Okay.
And in Group C, 2 go through, so you've got 7. Yes.
Right. Okay.
Now, in the team who finished bottom of Group B and the
Right.
team who finished bottom of Group C play a one-off play-in match where the winner gets into the quarterfinals.
Right.
And then, as usual, they get ranked. Top 3 get to pick their own opponents. Same format from then on.
So what you're telling me is the team ranked bottom of Group B and Group C, did you say?
Yes.
Both play against each other to win a chance to get into the playoffs.
No, to get into the playoffs. So you
Yeah.
could lose every single one of your group games, win the play-in match, and get into the quarterfinals.
So, Elite League, what are you doing? Okay, I've got a simpler system, right? Here we go.
Go
Are
on.
you ready? So
Here we
Group
go. I know
A-
what you're going to say.
Yeah, I mean, this is the most common sense thing, and great minds think alike. Chris and I think very similarly, so I think I'll agree with this. So with the first group, the top 3 teams go through, right?
Correct, but they only play 6 games.
But they only play 6 games. I've got a better idea for Group C. Why not just do the same? So Group A.
Because then you'd have to play. You'd be playing each team 3 times.
What do you mean?
So who gets the extra home game?
No, so Group B's the one. No. So Group A, 4 teams.
Has 4 teams in it.
Yeah. So does Group
And they-
C.
No, Group C's only got 3 teams in it.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, because we're on 10 again, aren't we? We're not on 11.
We're on 10 again.
My bad.
Yeah, we're on
My
10
mistake.
again.
Okay. So what's your suggestion then, Chris?
2 groups of 5, home and away once for 8 games each, which is the same as they're playing now. Top 4 go through.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the winner of Group A plays 4th in Group B. Runner-up in Group A plays 3rd in Group B, and then just play it like that.
Absolutely.
That's what I would have said.
Elite
But
League, like, I love you, Elite League. You've made some really big strides with the media stuff this year, which I think
they
is
have.
great. I
They
want
really have.
like the Icing on the Skate podcast wants to commend the Elite League. I put up a tweet about it a couple of days ago, but like the media stuff that they've been doing this season is such a large step up from last year. Like, I am super impressed with how far they've come in just one off season. I know it's like, it might not seem like much, but goal highlights for every single game the night of, like, the rest of the night following the match. For somebody like me that's not going to buy all the webcasts, I get to actually see the goals that are scored, which is great.
yeah,
Having the line combinations before the game is a great addition.
That's really
especially
good.
because they never posted that stuff before. So unless you were like diehard, followed your team, watched every single game for them, you didn't know the line combinations.
yeah, helps
so you
me
didn't
out
know
no
who was
end.
playing with who. And the shot stats and the shot statistics mid-game are really helpful as well. It shows you
Yeah.
where the goals are going in and where the shots are being taken from. So, yeah, like
I just don't like the fact that you can lose every single one of your group games
yeah.
and still get through.
Yeah, like, back to the topic at hand, obviously. Media, great job. Luke Fisher, you're doing a fantastic job. Anyway,
You really
moving on.
are.
Challenge Cup, what are you doing, lads? What are you doing? It doesn't make any sense.
Because, okay, so Steelers and Panthers have both won 1 each. They're not going to help my example. But
Right.
Manchester could lose all 8 games to the Steelers and the Panthers.
Yeah,
And then come up against, let's say, Guildford for the argument's sake,
okay.
win that 1 game
Yeah.
and get through.
It just doesn't make any sense. I mean, we're going to be complaining about this for the majority of the season. Like, this is something that we're
Well,
going to...
at least the Challenge Cup section. When
we
does,
are
when
going
does
to
the
drain
Challenge
this
Cup group
well
games
dry.
finished?
Like, over the season, we are going to drain this well dry just of how infuriatingly ridiculous it is, I think. Like, we're going to sit here time and time again and be like, what? Why have they done this so complicated? So I don't
It
really want to
looks
spend a
as
huge amount of time on
though.
it today.
No, I think November the 9th looks like the last group game.
Okay, so we've still got about 2 months. We've got exactly 2 months today. We've
Yes.
got
I
exactly
think that's
two
the
months
last group game
today.
anyway.
So what you're telling me is we've got 8 podcasts to complain about how the Challenge Cup works. Brilliant. Okay, so that's an update on the Challenge Cup scores, the regular season scores, and how ridiculous the Challenge Cup layout is. I'm not a huge fan of the Challenge Cup in general. I've made that
No,
quite
you
clear
said this last
season.
year, didn't you? Yeah.
But, like, it's there. I'm not going to complain that it's there. Just don't make it overly complicated. But they have. So, yeah. Anyway, let's move on to some suspensions. Yeah, it's not a new Elite League season without some suspensions, right, guys? So,
They've given us some interesting ones in the first weekend.
indeed. So, I'm going to start with the smallest number of games suspended.
Games suspended, which was the
I feel
one
like
game.
that makes the most sense because then the other two are very much coincidental in the same game with each other, you know. So the first
It was
one
the
goes
one
to,
game to count, wasn't it?
yes, Egils
Yes.
Calnes was suspended for one game. He was suspended for a major and game misconduct for a check to the head. A Glasgow Clan player was attempting to make a D-to-D pass. As the puck approaches Clan defenseman number 29, Craig Moore, the play becomes broken due to the puck hitting the referee's skate. The broken play led to Moore turning his attention to the puck, and at the same time, Dundee Stars number 13, Egils Calnes, I'm probably not pronouncing that name right, but what can you do? Is skating from behind the net to angle off Moore. Collins is aware the puck hit the referee's skates as he altered his skating pattern directly towards Moore. The play was reviewed and it was determined supplementary discipline is required for a check to the head. So, the first game of the season, and we've had a player done for a headshot. Great job, Elite League.
let's be fair.
Okay.
Let's be fair. That was Dundee's second game.
I'm terribly sorry, excuse me. The first weekend of the Elite League season, and we've already got a headshot. Yeah, well done, Elite League.
He got 29 penalty minutes on the night for it.
29.
And was then 29.
Jesus.
I think he'd already got 2 minors and then got a 5+ game, so 5 + 20.
Yeah. Okay.
So 29 penalty minutes on the night, was given a 1-game suspension, so he missed the game away at Manchester on Saturday.
Do you know what's crazy about that? That's almost equal to 6 game misconducts in penalty minutes. like a 5-minute major, like he's got almost 6 of them in 2 games. Come on, mate. Oh, I mean, like I haven't seen the play, so I'm not going to judge.
Oh, I have.
Okay, do you want to talk about the play a little bit more?
Yeah, I mean, it was a few days ago. It was Thursday when the DOPS videos came out.
Yeah.
And yes, he came in. It was shoulder to head, if I remember rightly.
Yeah.
And I think what DOPS are trying to do is set a precedent to try and cut it out.
Which I think they should.
Yeah. So I think that then they don't want to let the first few go because then teams are going to be like, well, hang on, you let this go, and
yeah, they need to, especially with like how volatile the relationship between the fans and the Department of Player Safety has been in previous years.
Yeah, it's not the best, is it, really?
No, they need to crack down on stuff like this, don't they? They need to immediately, especially when the season begins, go, look, we're not going to tolerate this. We've had criticism that we may have been soft on earlier calls while we're trying to get our bearings, especially because there was quite a big overhaul of the Department of Player Safety last season, remember? So, yeah, you have to think, okay, we need to crack down on this stuff early, make sure that it doesn't become a regular thing like it has been in previous years, and hopefully players will take note that if they do try a risky play and hope nobody cares, they will end up missing time and potentially affecting their team.
Yes.
So that's the first suspension. We have 2 more, don't you worry. So the next one is for Nottingham Panthers forward Brett Bulmer, who was suspended 2 games for kneeing.
Yes.
Yeah, it was supplementary discipline is required under Category 1 careless, insufficient attention or thought to avoid harm or error. So after retrieving a loose puck in the neutral zone, Sheffield Steelers number 52, Nikolai Lemtugyov, that's probably not how you say it, circles out of the middle ice in an attempt to skate towards his attacking zone. entering in a cross-ice skating lane directly towards him, Nottingham Panthers number 92 Brett Bulmer made an illegal check through the use and extension of his left knee. That's according to the Department of Player Safety's article on this. It's also important to point out, I think, that Bulmer started the season serving a suspension that he
did.
Had acquired last season as a member of the Fife Flyers. So
for the same thing, I should point out.
For the same thing. Okay, so do you think, of course, I don't know this, but do you think that's gone into it? Oh, yes. Okay, so effectively...
I was going to say, it should say if he's a repeat offender.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it's suspended for 2 games, 1 for the kneeing and 1 for repeat offence. So, once again, they're cracking down on stuff early. Like, fair play.
Now,
like,
did you see this one?
What?
Have you seen this one?
No, I haven't seen any of them.
Right, okay. So, I think he did. It was a kneeing call, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think careless is right. I think clumsy more than kind of malicious.
Yeah.
He got himself the wrong side of the puck, and in my view, and it is my view, tried to cut back to get back right side and make the check and the poke check, and kind of timed it wrong. His left knee was out, and it was a kneeing call, particularly with the repeat offence. I think it was right.
Okay.
So he missed the game on Saturday away at Guildford. He will also miss this Saturday away at Dundee, but he will be back for the game on Sunday away at Fife.
Right. I mean, the Sheffield-Nottingham game there was a very, very... I wouldn't say controversial, but there was a lot of conflicting opinions on other suspensions to other players. For I think I heard something about a goaltender interference call that I think people wanted.
There was also, I believe, I mean, I haven't seen it fully, but I believe it was Brendan Connolly, who a lot of Panthers players were saying, why didn't they get anything when our player was down on the ice and he was hitting you in the back of the head?
Yes, I did hear about that as well. So, to be fair, it was both sides going, oh, well, another one of their players should have got something. So I would imagine the Department of Player Safety in that situation either went, they cancel each other out, like they both did something bad, but not like enough to be a suspendable offence, or they were just paying attention to something else, I guess.
Well, they've reviewed everything because they bring they do everything out on the same day every week. So it's not like they go on Tuesday they release the Dundee one and then on Thursday they did the Panthers one. Everything comes out at the same time,
which is good.
So you knew instantly that was all the disciplinary in that first week.
Absolutely, and the kind of the theme that we've had from these ones so far, and I guess you could say it's the theme for most suspendable offences. The players just weren't thinking, like they were very much in the mindset of they were playing the game and they made a snap decision and it turned out to be the wrong one. I guess you could say that about most suspensions, especially this next one that we move on to, which is Sheffield Steelers. Sheffield Steelers' Michael Davis was suspended for 2 games also from that game. Now, it's the exact same game that Bulmer was suspended from, but he was suspended at the conclusion of the game. This is once the game ended. He lifted the goal off its pegs, because bearing in mind the Steelers lost this game, Davies lifted the goal off its peg before skating away to the presentations and stuff that happens post-game. He then skated slowly around and tapped one goal peg with his stick, aiming it along the ice towards block 6, which is where some of the fans sit. He then collected the other goal peg as he was leaving the ice at block 10's Zamboni gates. As he walked off, he threw the plastic peg under the underarm. He threw it underarm into block 10 row D. So essentially, he picked up a goal peg, he wasn't happy with the result, and chucked the goal peg into the crowd. Now, there was a lot of talk as to whether it was a metal goal peg and it could have hurt someone. The EIHL have specifically come out and said it was a plastic goal peg, and Michael Davies is suspended for 2 games for that and is considered a repeat offender for the next 4 months. He is also requested to apologise for the incident, is what the Department of Player Safety say. So, Chris,
Which
what are
he
your
has
thoughts?
done. He posted that out.
Yeah.
What I was going to say is, for anyone who knows the National Ice Centre, Max will probably correct me on this if I'm slightly wrong. Block 6 is behind the away penalty box.
Right.
And block 10 is kind of behind the goal, where the opposite side of the stage, pretty much where the away team go out, where the Zamboni comes in
Right.
and
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
It's pretty much there. So it was as he was going off the ice. I believe he may, because of that, have already been past the net that goes around the back of both goals,
I see.
which is why it
Right.
landed in the stand.
Oh, obviously, yeah, because otherwise it would have just hit the net and come straight back onto the ice, wouldn't it? So,
Yeah,
okay, that makes
that's
sense.
what I believe to have happened. But because it was after the game and all the cameras were off.
Yeah, they don't have any
haven't seen any video of it.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, so that is definitely the biggest example of that's just a dumb move. Like, the game's over. Of course, tempers ride high during a hockey game, especially if you're frustrated because they'd completely blown out. Well, they'd had a massive comeback victory against the Panthers the day before. And then the next day, their former goaltender, Jackson Whistle, manages to allow 1 goal, I think, en route to like a 5-1 victory, something like that. So
Jackson Whistle, 33 save attempts, 32 saves, 96.97.
exactly. So he very much put on a show against his former team, who he didn't really have the best of seasons with last year. So yeah, like obviously tempers got the better of Davis, and he decided to take that action, which I mean I don't think anybody can agree with. We can I can understand that, like, in the heat of the moment, you don't think straight. But then again, like, I'm sure he's played hundreds, if not thousands, of hockey games in his life, both as a kid and as a professional. And that's just something that everybody knows you don't do. You can't take the goal peg out and throw it into the crowd. It's just like, come on, use a bit of sense. But he's been suspended 2 games. He missed both.
He's been suspended 2 games. Yep, he missed the doubleheader against Coventry this weekend, so he is back for the home game on Saturday against the Storm.
I see. Okay, so he's served his suspension. So the only one that still has to serve their suspension is Bulmer, which is 1 game this weekend.
Bulmer misses Dundee on Saturday, but he's back for 5 on Sunday.
I see. Okay. So now we move on to the Player of the Week from the Elite League. This is a quick one. So, of course, if you guys don't know, every week the Elite League announce a Player of the Week for whatever they do during that week. And most leagues do it around the world. We'll announce something regarding Players of the Week in a moment, but I want to get on to the rest of the topics before we...
New stuff!
Ooh, look at me! So, the first Player of the Week for the Elite League this season is Dundee Stars number 7, Elgin Pearce. The Canadian forward notched a goal and an assist in the Stars' opening night win in Glasgow, and then helped himself to 2 more goals at home against the Clan again, with another assist as well to cap a 5-point weekend. So 5 points in 2 games in the Challenge Cup for Elgin Pearce has given him the Player of the Week. So thought we'd give him a shout out on the podcast. Not many people, I don't think, look at the Player of the Week stuff, so it's nice to just give them a bit of time to be like, yeah, this one's the Player of the Week. So there you go. Anything you want to add to that, or shall we move on?
No, let's just go on, because we've got plenty to get through, and we've got to get to the new Player of the Week stuff that we're doing.
And to be honest, like, I'm still trying to figure out who all of the players are in the league. So for this first week, it's like I was away, so I only saw like a fraction of the signings and additions that were taking place, or if I saw them, they were in passing. So it's like I'm still very much going like, oh, right, he's on Belfast now. Oh, he's playing for Cardiff, and he's playing for Dundee, so I'm still getting to grips with it. Anyway, we've mostly talked about everything that's happened in the Elite League, but we've still got a few Elite League teams to talk about with the Champions Hockey League. So, the Champions Hockey League has started recently, and for those of you who don't know, the Champions Hockey League is an inter-Europe hockey league, kind of like the Champions League in football, but with hockey. So we have teams from Sweden, Finland, Austria, Germany, France, etc., Czech Republic. And the Belfast Giants and the Cardiff Devils, who have yet to start their seasons, have been taking place in the Champions Hockey League, and that's a big reason why they haven't played any season games yet. Now, it's kind of a tale of 2 different teams so far, although both teams started off really, really well in this Champions Hockey League. A lot better than any previous years we've had in the Champions Hockey League. Of course, last year it was just Cardiff. The season before it was Nottingham and Cardiff. The season before that was just Nottingham. And then we had a few different ones before that. But, so, yeah. The Belfast Giants, unfortunately, sit at the bottom of their group. So there's... it goes up to Group H. So how many letters is that? A, B, C, D, E, F, G.
H is 8.
8, yeah.
It's 8 groups of 4 for 32, and then the top 2 go through for a round of 16.
Perfect, yeah. So 8 groups of 4, 32 teams.
Because the Champions Hockey League makes sense with their cup competition.
That's a little bit of a dig there, Chris.
But if you look at Group B, the 2 teams are already through.
Yeah, absolutely. So so Group C is where the Belfast Giants are residing, with Luleå Hockey, the Augsburger Panthers, and Billy Tigri Liberec. So a team from Sweden, a team from Germany, and a team from the Czech Republic. The Belfast Giants sit on 4 points in their group, bearing in mind the Champions Hockey League do it 3 points for a win, 2 points for an overtime win, 1 point for an overtime loss, and 0 points for a regulation loss. The Belfast Giants have 1 win, 2 losses, and 1 overtime loss. So they're on 4 points. They are tied with Billy Tigri Liberec, 4 points, so 3rd place. However, Luleå and Augsburger both have 8 points, so it's very much an uphill battle for the Belfast Giants to have the chance of going through to the playoffs. However, for the Cardiff Devils, they are doing fantastically well in Group H. They are top of Group H, the final group in the competition, with 8 points. They've played 4 games, they have 2 wins, 1 overtime loss, and 1 overtime win. 2 regulation wins, 1 overtime win, and 1 regulation loss for 8 points. They are top of Group H, with the likes of the Frölunda Indians, who won last year's competition and have won like 3 of the 6 Champions Hockey League trophies, Mountfield HK, and Grazers 99. So, this has been a really interesting Champions Hockey League. I'm getting confused now. But the Cardiff Devils, they've been in it for a few years now. They're finally starting to take that experience that they've had in this league and form a roster and do the right recruiting, that they're actually having some success here. Chris, what do you think about the Champions Hockey League for our 2 teams so far, and how you see it transpiring with the final 2 games of the group stages?
Okay, so I'll start with the Cardiff group, and theirs is interesting because it is still possible for anybody in that group to go up.
Yeah.
And what's also interesting is that there are 2 games left for everybody, and for both teams, it's a home and away against the side next to them. So Devils have a home and away with Frölunda, and Mountfield have a home and away with Graz 99ers.
Yeah.
So Cardiff, in my view, need to get a win, be it regulation or overtime, at home to Frölunda.
Yeah.
Which
is not an easy task.
It's not, but then, if Cardiff were to lose both of them and stay on 8 points, if Mountfield take 1 win against Grazers in regulation, which you probably think they will do, Cardiff are out.
Or if Grazers takes 2 wins. So,
So it's, Cardiff, they may be top of the group, but they still need to pick up points against Frölunda, which could well be difficult.
In theory, just looking at Group H, if Mountfield and Grazers went to overtime both games and Grazers ended up winning them, Cardiff would still take at least the 2nd spot. Because Mountfield would be on 8 points, but they'd have 2 overtime loss. Well, yeah, they'd either be tied. It might go to goal difference. Because if Mountfield lost both games in overtime... I haven't looked up
what the...
Yeah, I haven't looked up the tiebreakers, but...
let me have a look. Let me just have a look at what the tiebreakers are. You keep talking.
If Cardiff lost both of their games against Frölunda, they'd still be on 8 points. Mountfield, if they lost both of their games in overtime, they would have 8 points as well. And if Grazers won both of those games in overtime, they'd have 7 points. So then it would be 8. Frölunda, if they won both the games, would be on 13 points. So it'd be 13, 8, and 7.
The tie-breaking formula is their mutual games. So If
Okay.
Cardiff were tied with Mountfield, it would be the aggregate, well, the points and then the aggregate with between the two games that those two played.
Okay, and they won both of their games against Mountfield?
No, they won 3-2 but lost 5-2, which means that
Mountfield will
on
go through.
goal difference, Mountfield would go through.
Okay. So, essentially, like in that scenario that I was referencing, if Cardiff got at least one game to overtime, then they'd definitely be through, you know? But, of course, there's a lot of different permutations of what we're discussing that could happen. But then on the
Yes,
flip
and
side
we
for
have to wait
Belfast,
quite a while for
yeah,
it as well.
absolutely. But for Belfast, they very much have an uphill battle. They
They
started off
do.
really well, but they've really like took their foot off the gas recently.
They do, and the problem that Belfast have is that their head-to-head is against Lillea, who of
Yeah,
course are top,
yeah,
and if they lose the first game, that's it.
absolutely.
Simple
Which I
as
mean,
that.
their backs are against the wall, and we've seen Belfast do a good job when their backs are against the wall. And Adam Keefe definitely runs a very like hard-nosed team. So if there's any team that
Yes.
could do it, it's them. However, they are
The
going up against Luleå Hockey of Sweden, which
yes.
aren't
The
exactly an easy
difference
team to beat.
between the difference between the two, I've just noticed I'm going a bit dark.
Sorry.
It's all right. The difference between the two is that um, Cardiff have it in their hands, and Belfast,
Have it in
because they
others.
still, well, because they still rely on results with
Yeah,
Augsburger and Liberec to
absolutely.
work for them.
Yeah,
So, yeah, Belfast have got to rely on others a little bit.
yep,
Cardiff, it's all in their control.
absolutely. So there will be some more games taking place, but they're not till October. So we have
Yes.
just under a month until the next games take place.
Yeah.
So we've
So
got quite a
October
while.
the 8th and then October the 15th. They're both on the same day.
There you go. So
So
it gives the Giants and the Devils a chance to focus on their domestic campaigns now, which is good. But
yes, well but they've both got 5 Challenge Cup games in the gap and 3 league games. Oh,
there you
sorry,
go.
Cardiff have
So
got 4 league games. So
both teams are going to be kept busy, and they have the beauty of knowing how some of the teams have been playing before getting their chance to go up against them and seeing the players that are playing well in the Elite League. Because, of course, the Champions Hockey League and Elite League play are two very different beasts. So it'll be
yes.
interesting to see how the Giants and the Devils, who I expect to do very well this year, how they match up against each other. But that's pretty much it for the Elite League and Elite League teams. However, we do have a couple of small things we'd like to go through first. We have our Play Under review, which, for those of you who don't know how the Play Under review works, it's basically we take a topic and discuss it. Like maybe I'll ask like a specific question on a specific topic that we haven't quite covered with the previous talk and go into it. We do have one more thing that we're hopefully adding into the podcast this season, which we'd love to get your guys' feedback on. Chris did a quiz at the end of last season based on some of the things that took place in the Elite League and some of the things we discussed on the podcast over the season. So, Chris,
it was you against Max.
it was. So Chris has decided, and I think this is a great idea. Every week he's going to ask myself, and if we have a guest, the guest, an easy question, a medium question, and a hard question based on everything that's taken place in the Elite League and Champions Hockey League and anything we kind of discuss to see how well I do. So, Chris,
So
give
hopefully,
me your
rather
questions.
than trying to have to remember the entire year,
Yeah.
you only have to remember a week at a time.
Exactly.
Now, can I ask before we do the quiz, can you please close down the document?
Yep. Documents
The
not
big
up. I'm
Excel
literally looking
spreadsheet?
at OBS right now. I promise.
Okay.
Promise.
Yep, that's fine. I can see that you're in the document, but I trust you that you're in OBS.
I have the document on in Chrome, but I haven't looked at it in a while. It's
Yes,
sitting
I
there
know
in
what
one
you
of the
mean.
tabs.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Right. We're going to start with the easy question then.
Please
These are
do.
all Elite League. There's no challenge. There's no Champions Hockey League this week.
Okay.
Okay. Which team is the only one to record a shutout so far this season in competitive games?
Oh, that is the Dundee Stars.
Correct. Well done.
Yeah,
That's
they
1
beat the
point.
Glasgow Clan 2-0, right?
Wrong. 5 Flyers. 2-0.
That's what I meant. Well, no, so Dundee beat the
Okay.
Five Flyers.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Well.
Yes.
Whew, okay.
Right.
Whew.
Question two, your medium question worth 2 points.
Oh no.
Which side is best on the power play in domestic competitions this
Oh
season?
Jesus. Is that including Challenge Cup?
Yes, that's including Challenge Cup, all domestic competitions,
All domestic competitions,
but not pre-season.
but not pre-season, including the best power play,
Yeah, so it's Elite League and Challenge Cup,
Elite League and
best
Challenge
power
Cup.
play.
Right. I I'm going to go with Sheffield.
No.
Who was it?
No, Sheffield's power play is at
Awful, I would
Sheffield's
imagine.
Sheffield's power play is at 12.9%.
Well, it's not too bad. I
The
mean,
team
it's not good, but
the
it's not
team
bad.
with the best power play so far are on 50%,
Jeez. It's going to be a Scottish
and
team,
it
isn't it?
is no, it's the Manchester Storm
Really?
who were
Wow.
3 for 6 on the power play in their only game so far against Dundee when they won by 3 goals to 1.
Fair play. Like, that is a team that I would not have thought of. So, good job, Manchester.
Okay, and your hard
Oh
question for
no.
three
I can't even
points.
get the medium question, god damn
Right.
it.
I'm liking this feature.
It's good,
Right.
I like it.
Who has the most penalty minutes so far this season? And he also has the joint lowest plus minus with -6.
That's Calnes with 29 penalty minutes.
No, sorry.
No, you told me this like 2 days ago and I've forgotten it now. Damn it! Ah!
No, it's actually Nikolai Leptugov
Oh, from
of the
Sheffield.
Sheffield Steelers because he racked up 39 penalty minutes against Coventry last night
Jesus.
and has 43 penalty minutes from
No.
4 games.
He's averaging 10 penalty minutes a game. He's averaging 2 fights worth of penalty minutes a game. Wow.
Yep.
Okay.
And to be honest, and I think if without going through the whole document again, second place is also on Sheffield. Brendan
Wow.
37
Okay.
penalty minutes because he picked up 29 penalty minutes against Nottingham in the Challenge Cup game.
So, to be fair, I have not looked at power play or penalty minute percentages or anything like that so far this season. So, if
So you've
anything,
got
I've
one
learnt a
point.
lesson that I need to keep an eye on that stuff this season. And all the other stats.
You do.
Basically, I just need to spend the rest of my life looking at spreadsheets. So, I mean, that's what most jobs do in offices nowadays, isn't it? So, why not join the crew?
I am going to try and vary it a bit so that it's
No.
not every single week's not the same. So
No, I like that though. This stuff that I would never have thought of, and like especially the Manchester one, I would never have thought of that as a
yeah,
as
that
a
is
option.
that is slightly a skewed statistics because they've only played the one game.
Yeah. So now, before we get to the play under review, because the stuff after that is very quick stuff. We're kind of at like
Yes,
the
it is,
midway
yeah.
point of the podcast, roughly, the
Pretty
two-thirds
much.
mark. So we're introducing something new. We probably should do this when we talk about the player of the week, but we're going to do it for now, and we'll see what you guys think. If we need to put it later, let us know. If you want it right here or earlier, if you want it here, let us know. Our Icing on the Skate podcast Players of the Week. Now, Chris and I had a little chat about this earlier. We figured we may as well do a Player of the Week for the podcast because we often see players that don't get the credit from the Elite League, which not to say that the Elite League aren't doing their job, but they can only give the award to one player a week. Whereas there's obviously several well-deserving candidates every single week that should be either considered or worthy of a Player of the Week award. Now, the interesting thing is, our one isn't going to be specific to the Elite League and Challenge Cup. We're also looking at Champions Hockey League, and I am going to open it up to like, if you hear like a ridiculous story or like a really funny event that happens in a hockey game that's not related to the Elite League, they can still have the Player of the Week, I think. Although we will try and gear it as much to the Elite League and British hockey as possible. So, I'm going to go first with my player of the week. We've decided to have different players of the week as well. So I've got one, Chris has one. Sometimes they might be the same, sometimes they'll be different. This week they are different. So my Icing on the Skate podcast player of the week for the first week and the first podcast of this season is Cardiff Devils netminder Ben Bounds. I think there's no surprise that he is once again on top of his game, like he always seems to be. The Cardiff Devils would not be the top of Group H with the likes of the Graz 99ers, the Frölunda Indians and Mountfield if it wasn't for how well Ben Bounds has played. In several of their wins, they've had many more shots faced, much more possession for the opposing teams, many more blocked shots by the opposing teams. So he's very much had to hold down the fort for the Devils at points, especially early in away games where the home side are just laying on the shots towards Bounds. And you've got to give him credit. He's been solid. They're at the top of their group, and they have the chance to go through to the playoffs in the Champions Hockey League for the first time in franchise history. So that seems like a no-brainer to me. I know Chris had agreed with it to an extent, but he does have another well-deserving candidate. So Chris, give us your player of the week.
Yes, just quickly on Bounds. The 4 Champions Hockey League games he's played, 139 shots against, 128 saves for 92.03.
You know,
we should point out,
that's averaging over 40 shots a game.
Yeah. So
crazy.
I've gone for another Cardiff player. This isn't, I think one of the things, because it's in the Elite League Player of the Week and they haven't been in the Elite League.
Yeah.
Because they've been playing Champions Hockey League, that's why, they haven't featured.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So I have gone for Cardiff again, number 67, Matthias Sointu. I probably butchered that.
No, that was pretty good.
Apologies.
I'm quite impressed with that.
Because in the past week, looking at the week alone, it's 1 goal, 3 assists, a 2+-, and I think that for the goals they have had, so it was 3 assists against Grazers with their 5-2 win, and then one of the goals against Mountfield, and I think especially with assists, it's something that's not necessarily kind of celebrated as much, particularly because you get 2. An assist could be a good 20-30 seconds before the goal.
Exactly, yeah.
So, yes, I mean, as Ben says, he's the guy that comes in who's replaced Joey Martin while Joey Martin's out with his minor injury.
Yep.
And he's played really well and slotted straight into the side. So that's who I've gone with.
Which for Andrew Lord must be an absolute gift from the heavens when you have a player that comes in and just immediately slots into your system and does exactly what's asked and reaps the rewards of that. So, yeah, very well-deserving player also. So let us know what you think about the Icing on the Skate Players of the Week from myself and Chris. Write it in the chat. Let us know. If you want it to go in the same place with the Elite League Player of the Week, then let us know. I'm also hoping at some point in the season or at several points to do more like humorous picks for like going for somebody that does like something stupid, like throw a goal peg. It doesn't necessarily have to be based on their merits on the ice because it's our podcast. We can have some fun with it, But anyway, we move on to our play under review. So our more debate topic, more sort of looking at a specific question. To give you an example, last season we looked at things like teams asking their fans to help subsidise the club. We looked at changes in rules, new upcoming systems being put in place and our thoughts on it. This week we're going to go for
junior
some predictions.
systems, didn't we?
Yeah, so we're going to go through some predictions.
Shall I go and get a piece of paper?
That would be a fantastic idea.
Write these down. Okay, bear with me 2 seconds.
Thank you, Chris. So you can get the staff these days, folks. So essentially what we're going to do, at the start of last season's podcast, we came up with some predictions as to who we think would win the league, the playoffs, the Challenge Cup. And I think I'm going to extend it this year to also add who we think the top scorer is going to be and who we think the best goaltender is going to be.
Of what you've read out the list of things we're predicting while I wasn't here.
Oh, I'll say it again. Who will win the league, the Challenge Cup, the playoff championship, the top goal scorer in the league, and the goaltender of the year. We can also go for defenseman of the year, because otherwise they're being left out. So yeah.
Okay, how are we going to judge defenseman of the year?
Well, you can it can be on both points scored, because points scored is obviously goes into it because they need to contribute, but it doesn't have to necessarily be like the top point scorer. Like
Okay,
we're
right.
probably not
Okay
going to
then.
get most of those like top scorers and stuff right.
No,
It's just like,
we're notoriously bad at this.
oh wow, I mean, yeah, I was okay. I was okay last year. I wasn't perfect, but I was like a solid like 7 out of 10. You know.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah. Whereas you were more Nottingham, and I was like, eh.
I'll stick to NHL fantasy.
There you go. So, predictions for the upcoming season, Chris. Let's go through the trophies. I'll let you rack off your trophy winners first. So,
Okay.
regular season champion, playoff champion, Challenge Cup champion. Go.
League Cardiff.
Okay.
Uh, Challenge Cup. Um, I'm gonna go Challenge Cup as being Sheffield
Okay.
because they can pull it out on the one games when they need to.
Okay.
And then playoffs, I'm going to say Nottingham purely because
Okay.
I want them to get there because then I'll be commentating.
Good point. Yeah, very true. Very true.
So
Personal
I want them to
interests. I
get
don't
there.
blame you.
To be
I don't
honest, they
blame you.
would
Why
they
not?
would for the Challenge Cup final as well. So I'm going to hope for a Sheffield versus Nottingham Challenge Cup final.
Oh, that would be so good. That would actually give the Challenge Cup a bit of meaning to me, you know?
So yes, that's what I'm going. I'm going to go for a Sheffield Nottingham Challenge Cup final, Cardiff to win the league, and Nottingham for the playoffs.
Okay, interesting. So I'm kind of thinking similar thoughts as you. I'm gonna go Belfast for the league
Okay.
because I was gonna go Cardiff, but then again Belfast, they managed to pull it out of the hat last year. I wouldn't be surprised if they
Yeah.
did it
Well, I mean,
again.
I've gone for Cardiff based on A, what they did last year, and B, how they've been in the Champions Hockey League because they just look so strong.
Exactly. No, I can understand that completely. I think also Belfast have looked pretty good. They've just not looked. They haven't been
Yeah.
consistent through a whole 60 minutes, and that's what's killed them. So, but then again, I think in domestic games they'll be a lot better. So,
Yeah.
I'm going to go Belfast for the league. I'm going to go Nottingham for the Challenge Cup
Okay.
because they have a history with the Challenge Cup, and I think like
Against two in the final.
I don't know against who in the final.
Oh, come on, I went.
Okay, so you're going to go Nottingham Sheffield. I'm going to go Nottingham Cardiff.
Okay.
I would really like Guildford to be there, but whether
Well,
that
Ben's
happens
gone
or
for
not,
Guildford's on the playoffs.
what's that?
Ben went for Guildford on the playoffs in the live
I would
chat.
love to. I am saying it now. I would love to see the Guildford Flames win some silverware this year. That team is solid. I am such a big fan of the Guildford Flames and their underdog story. Like, I mean, they made it to the Challenge Cup finals last year. I wouldn't be surprised if they made it back.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go Panthers Devils for the sake of two very strong
Oh,
teams.
what, in the playoffs?
No.
Oh,
For
no, he Challenge
Challenge
Cups.
Cup
Sorry,
because
yeah.
I think they've done a really. Tim Wallace has done a good job of recruitment. I think this year, certainly a lot better than the last couple of years, in my opinion. So
They have looked, for the games I've seen, they have looked a strong
yeah,
side.
they've had their problems, of course, but so has every
Well,
other team
every
'cause it's
team
early in the
does.
season. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. And then for playoffs, who did you go for playoffs again?
Nottingham.
Nottingham. Now, part of me wants to go Cardiff because I haven't actually got them with any silverware yet this year. But I also kind of want to go Sheffield, but I also don't think they're going to be as good as some might hope. I'm not quite sure where I sit on this, to be honest. Because I don't want to go for like the same three teams, but then again, it's like that's the common sense thing to do, you know?
Well, we've seen what can happen in the playoffs. Didn't Fife get to the final a couple of years ago from memory? And
I think so, yeah. Or they
well, they
made it
got
to
to the
final
semis,
four.
didn't they? They got to
Yeah,
final
they made it
weekend.
to the
Yeah.
final four, yeah. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Sheffield. Throwing in a curveball. I'm
Sheffield.
throwing in a curveball. They have a decent core of players in place. They might be able to do it. And then, you know what? Because I'm hoping then Cardiff do well in the Champions Hockey League, so everybody's happy. You know.
Okay.
So Belfast
Right, top
regular
scorer.
season. So Belfast regular
Nottingham.
season.
You've
Sheffield.
got Nottingham, Cardiff in the Challenge Cup, and
Yeah.
Sheffield in the playoffs.
Yeah. Let's go with that. Why not? Let's see if that works. I've probably predicted this a lot worse than last year, but I don't want to go for Belfast and Cardiff win everything, and I don't want to show my bias too much with saying Nottingham wins everything. Like, their history in the Challenge Cup has been pretty good. They have a pretty good side this year, so I'd like to see how it goes, you know? Let's figure it out. I don't know.
I've just thought of another prediction which I've added on to the end that I'm going to throw at you once we've done the rest.
Okay. So for top scorer, last year, who was the top scorer last year? It was Mike Hammond, wasn't it?
Yes.
Who's
Or was
now
that in
no
total
longer in the league,
points?
who we'll talk about in the future.
So it was Ben Lake, wasn't it? Or
That's a good call, actually. Ben Lake, he might be a good one to choose because
he wasn't he last year? Because he went over to Belfast, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good call for going for Ben Lake. I'm not
Ben
sure
Lake,
I'd pick
number
him, though.
9, one goal, 2 assists already,
And that's in the Champions Hockey League, isn't it? So
and that's in the Champions Hockey League.
he's
Yeah.
playing against some decent opponents. Ben Lake might be a good choice. He's a fast player, Lake. I really want to just throw in a curveball, just like loads of really ridiculous choices, and see what happens. I'm gonna go for I'm trying to think of the players on each of the teams now.
Well, you're allowed to look at the document again now, you know.
Yeah, that's a good
For anyone
call.
who does, actually, for anyone who doesn't know, this document basically I've spent all summer putting together every single player, team, goals, assists, plus minus, penalty minutes,
It's
save
actually
percentage,
bloody
all the rest
incredible.
of
I'm
it.
going to put it out there right now. It's actually, like, incredible. He's spent a lot of time on this. He kind of, like, was like, oh, I've done this, by the way, and threw it at me. And I was like, Jesus Christ, this is so good.
Yeah, because you were in Canada, weren't you?
Yeah, exactly. So, like, I had no
So
idea any of this was going on. Or, like, you mentioned to me, it to me in passing was like, here you go. It's like, what?
Yeah, so it's got every special team, every save percentage, every the lot of it. You can probably share screens at some point, but
Yeah, I mean, that
and
takes
just
effort, though,
different
doesn't it?
guides, but yeah, it does. I'm not suggesting doing it now, but
You know, I'm gonna. No, I was thinking to go for somebody like Martin St. Pierre or Robert Dowd from the Steelers.
what about William Quist?
That's a good call as well.
3 goals, 1 assists already.
Actually, maybe one of those ones. I don't know. I'm just trying to
Just
think
pick
of who I want to go
somebody.
for. John Dunbar might be a good choice. John Dunbar would be an incredible choice. I think Chris has disappeared from us again. Hopefully he'll be back soon. Yeah, he's reconnecting. There's a bit of a internet issue here by the looks of it. It's going alright on my end, so I think maybe somebody like John Dunbar might be a good choice. Glasgow. I'm just going through all the teams at the moment to see who we have. Chad Rowe, that might be a good choice. Matthew Waugh, I mean, he's a pretty good candidate to come back as well. He's already got, 5 points? Yeah, he's got 5 points already. Wow, Matthew Waugh. You know what? I'm going to say Matthew Waugh's comeback tour is going to be what does it. I'll wait till he gets back. I might call him again because that's not gone so well. Don't worry, Chris. I'll call you again, bud. It's okay. I'll call you again. I would imagine his internet is completely gone. Try calling him again once more because he's trying to call me back. Right, let me call you. Come on, Chris. Join the club again. I need you, bud. Apologise for this, guys. You know what this is like. We're unprofessional as hell, but we have a good laugh and provide some fun stuff for you. Oh, the internet's gone. Okay. So we'll wait till Chris gets back to carry on with that. Internet's gone on his PC. I know how that feels. So, Chris, write this down. I'm going with Matthew Waugh of the Glasgow Clan. He's already on 5 points so far this season. They're all Challenge Cup games, sure. But I feel like Matthew Waugh's redemption tour is going to be something. He had 27 penalty minutes in the game against Fife. Oh, my God. So, yeah, I'm going with Matthew Waugh. In terms of top goaltender, I'm going to go Shane Owen of the Belfast Giants. He has been an absolute workhorse so far this year. It's either going to be Owen or Ben Bounds, but I think I'm going to go for Shane Owen. And then for defenseman of the year, I might go for Gleason Fournier. Is he still on the Devils? I feel like he is. I didn't realise Mosey was out with reconstructive knee surgery. That sucks. Yeah, Gleason Fournier. Yeah, I'm going to go Gleason Fournier. So for my forward, Matthew Waugh of the Glasgow Clan. For my defenceman, Gleason Fournier of the Cardiff Devils. And goaltender, Shane Owen of the Belfast Giants. I feel like that's a nice little mixture. I'm just trying to think of the other players on each of the teams. So Nottingham, I don't think they're going to have a goaltender of the year. Don't think Coventry's going to have a goaltender of the year. Dundee, not particularly. Like, there isn't really anything that's jumping out to me from these ones. Glasgow, maybe. Patrick Killeen's a good choice. But then again, Glasgow haven't played very well to start off with, so... I don't know. Yeah, I think I'm going to stick with my choices. I was hoping Chris would be ready to start again by the time I finished my choices, but I guess not. So, I'm just going to have to carry on blabbing for like 10 minutes until hopefully he arrives again. So, yeah. So, Matthew Waugh, Gleason Fournier, Shane Owen. Those are my choices. You're welcome, folks. We'll get Chris's choices when he comes back. But now I'm going to move on across the pond. We are going to the NHL. So we've pretty much discussed everything to do with the Elite League so far this week. We're going to move on to the NHL now. Now, to be honest, there isn't a huge amount to talk about so far with the NHL, other than the fact that there's the rookie tournaments taking place, the Traverse City tournament, the NHL Rookie Showcase, and a couple of other tournaments between rookies and prospects for certain NHL teams and certain divisions. They're all taking place at the moment, so you might be able to check out some live streams for like upcoming players. I know I've managed to catch a little bit of the New York Rangers at the Traverse City tournament. Of course, we've got guys like Adam Fox, Carl Henriksen, I believe his name is, Capo Caco, Vitaly Kravtsov, and all of those guys. So we've got a lot of young players that I'm really excited to see. Igor Shesterkin, I believe his name is. So, yeah. Maybe take a look at your teams, check their social medias and stuff to see if they have any live streaming links to the games. None of them are being like blacked out, I don't believe, but double check anyway. Chris is having problems still, so that's not a problem. The main bit of news I will mention regarding this, and I've got a bigger piece of news that I think you guys watching might be interested in. It's been in the works for a little while, but I'll give you a proper announcement for it in a minute. Oh, I'm teasing it, look at me. So, the Columbus Blue Jackets have finally come to terms with a deal for restricted free agent defenseman Zach Werenski. Werenski, whichever you want to call him. I'm not quite sure if his name's from, like, European descent, so it might be Werenski or Werenski. I can't remember. He has signed a 3-year contract with the Columbus Blue Jackets. It's a 3-year contract, 3-year, $15 million, with an average annual value of $5 million a season. Of course, Werenski is one of those players that is in that budding group of restricted free agents currently still unsigned, such as Mikko Rantanen, Patrick Laine, Charlie McAvoy, etc., etc. Still a lot of very good guys. Matthew Tkachuk as well, and Provorov, and Mitch Marner of the Maple Leafs. So there's a lot of big players that still haven't been signed yet by their respective NHL teams. I'm still waiting for the Rangers to sign Brendan Lemieux and Tony DeAngelo. So hopefully they'll get on that at some point. We'll figure it out, I guess. But that's the biggest news that came out today, literally like an hour or so before we started streaming. So, yeah, the number 8th pick of the 2015 draft. He has 128 points in 237 games and 10 points in 19 playoff games. He was, of course, a finalist for the Calder Memorial Trophy for Rookie of the Year in 2015-16. He lost that. He didn't win that award, obviously. Austin Matthews won it. He had a 40-goal season or a 35-goal season. What do you expect? So, yeah. Columbus Blue Jackets fans, they've lost Bobrovsky, they've lost Panarin, they've lost Duchesne, they've lost Zingle, but they have their defenseman Zach Werenski back. So at least there's a little bit of positivity for the Columbus Blue Jackets fans at the moment. Now, the really, really big piece of news regarding myself and Chris for the next little while is the fact that we have been recruited by a new upcoming network, the Hockey Podcast Network. They approached us a little while ago, near the end of last season, asking if we wanted to join their network and host an NHL podcast for them based on a specific team. So I'm very happy to announce, I've announced it on social media already, but just in case you guys didn't know, that Chris and I will be doing a NHL podcast on the Hockey Podcast Network for the Boston Bruins. They gave us the choice of a list of teams that they still had available, and we decided to go for the Boston Bruins based on the fact that they're an original six team with a very strong group of players. They made it to the Stanley Cup Finals. So towards the end of September, keep an eye out for the Brits on Bruins podcast. That's what we're going to call it. It's a great name. Why not? We were hoping to go for something like the Rangers or the Toronto Maple Leafs, but those two teams weren't available. They'd already found people to cover those teams. But it's a big podcasting network that they're going to have podcasts for every single team in the NHL every week. And we're doing 1 or 2 podcasts a week, so there's plenty of stuff there. I know there are some other YouTubers doing the New Jersey Devils podcast, I believe. So if you're a Devils fan, check that out. Whether you're a Bruins fan or not, maybe come and check out the podcast at the end of September, early October. That would be really cool. I'll be tweeting loads of links to it nearer the time. I will have a Twitter page for the Brits on Bruins podcast, hopefully set up soon. So hopefully you guys get to give that a watch if you're interested. I'll be promoting it more and more as we get closer to the event. So just keep an eye out, and hopefully you guys watch it or listen to it, and hope you guys enjoy. It's essentially going to be the Icing on the Skate podcast with Chris and I, but to do with the Boston Bruins. It's all focused on the Boston Bruins. They're like 30 to 45 minute podcasts, so they're not a huge amount of time, but there you go. So hopefully you guys might find that interesting. So yeah, perfect. We'll move on now to the KHL season. So for those of you who don't know, the predominantly Russian league, the Continental Hockey League, kind of seen as the second highest league in the world. It's rivaled very much with the AHL in terms of what's the second best league in the world. I say the KHL is. Some people would say the AHL. Both opinions are fine in my opinion. All we know is they're not the best league in the world. They're definitely the best league in Europe. So, yeah, I'm very happy with the KHL season. It started again on the 1st of September, I believe. So if you guys are looking for a bit of a hockey fix before the NHL season begins, I would recommend looking at the KHL. One of the reasons I would recommend doing that is because on the KHL app you can buy a game, buy like the ability to stream a game for 99 pence in high definition. The only draw is there's Russian commentary, but you can turn the commentary off and just have the arena sounds, which I don't think they had last year, but they do this year. So go for it. I watched SK St. Petersburg's home opener against... Oh, who was it against? I can't remember now. That's not very helpful, is it? They played... I can't remember. I'm going to have to look this up now, aren't I? SK St. Petersburg. Who did they play? I know they've played Tractor Chelyabinsk. I know... not Avangard. It wasn't Avangard. Who was it? It was... Metallurg Magnitogorsk, that's it. They played Metallurg Magnitogorsk, no, in Magnitogorsk, my bad, I believe. So yeah, that's pretty cool. It was 99 pence to watch the game. It was pretty fun. I quite enjoyed it, and I'm a big fan of St. Petersburg, so yeah, go and check out the KHL if you're interested in anything like that. I am, and I feel like a lot of people miss out if they only watch the NHL. Like, you're missing out on so much more hockey out there. Like, I love the fact that this channel and stuff has given me the ability to look at the NHL, the KHL, the ECHL. I mean, I don't really watch the ECHL and some of the lower leagues that much, but like, I follow the British League, I follow the Champions Hockey League, I follow the KHL, the NHL. Like, there's a lot of leagues out there which are interesting to watch, you know, so why not watch them? Especially when the NHL season isn't actually taking place at the moment. Speaking of another league to take a look at, the National Women's... Oh, here we go. Here he comes. Here's Chris. He's back. Back and better than ever.
It got to the point of going on my mobile data and seeing if Virgin was down because it was just so bad.
Wow.
It cut out my phone as well, which it never normally does.
Jeez. So you're back. That's good.
I'm back. I heard you say Roy for top scorer and Shano in goaltender, and then that's as far as I got.
Fournier, Devils top
defenseman. Yep.
If you just want to chuck yours out quickly, we'll move on to the final piece of news before we go to Brits abroad, which we'll mention what that is in a minute. So
okay.
You've had plenty of time
because I had that other one I was going to give you, and then and then it went.
Okay.
Right. Okay. I'm going to go for top goaltender as being. Let's throw a bit of a curveball in there and say Travis Fullerton of Guildford.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah. That's a decent choice. He's a solid goaltender.
Why not? And defenseman of the year. Oh,
Could
who
always
have
go
I
for.
been impressed with?
You could always go for like an easy choice of like Ben O'Connor, because I mean he's back for
I
a full
could
year
do,
this
but that's
year.
I could do, but that's boring.
Yeah.
This is our problem: is that we're much more interested in doing entertaining
Oh yeah.
predictions rather than probably accurate ones.
I want to see Matthew Wild's
Let
comeback tour. I want to see it. Like he scored 5 points in the Challenge Cup games.
He did.
So
He
fair
did.
play to him. Like
Um,
I think he'll be good for Glasgow. I think he'll fit well under Pete Russell's system. No, it's not Pete Russell's system
and you,
anymore, is it?
and you went Fournier. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
Pete Russell isn't coaching the Glasgow Clan anymore, is he? No, he's not.
Uh,
He's coaching a team in the DEL now, isn't he?
yes, he moved.
Yeah, I
I've
remember that
forgotten who
now.
it is that is.
It's
That,
Fitzgerald. It's Fitzgerald, isn't it? Zach
right,
Fitzgerald. He's the coach of the Glasgow
I'm
Clan.
going with a former Devil now of the Blaze. I'm going Drew Schistel.
Okay, interesting choice. Go
Right,
for it.
now the other one, I'll throw this one at you and it sounds a bit wrong, but it's really not.
Oh, he's gone again, lads. He's gone again. You can't get the staff these days, folks. So, we'll see if he comes back. Oh, he's coming back. This is good. He's back. I think he's back. Every single other platform is... Okay, my Skype's crashing a little bit now. You can tell that it's been a long time since we've done one of these podcasts, can't you? Because everything's kind of falling apart. I don't know why that's up there. So we'll just put that away for now. I do apologise about this, folks. We're having technical difficulties on every single possible way. So it's going great, isn't it, folks? It's going so well. Yeah, Icing on the Skate podcast. Yeah. Right, I'm just going to see if it'll let me... right, video call. There you go.
Why is it? I don't know why it cut out. Okay.
I think my Skype may have crashed that time. I'm not too
I was
sure.
going to say, I think it was you because my internet's not gone. Right, okay. This is a bit of a curveball.
Okay.
So, who is going to be the naughtiest player of the year?
Naughtiest player of the year.
By which I mean, who's going to have the most penalty minutes at the end of the year?
Oh, that's tough. The most penalty minutes. I'm just trying to get you back on the screen. It's not working now, which is really great.
Oh, am I not on the screen? Okay.
Bear
Well,
with me.
people always say I've got the face for radio, so.
In terms of who I think is gonna have the most penalty minutes, yeah, I'm gonna go with Ben's choice, Bobby Farnham, Belfast Giants captain. Why
Bobby
not?
Farnham. Okay.
not?
I love how I came up with this and I have no clue at all.
Well, that's not very helpful, is it?
No. Because the problem is, there's quite a few players that have been getting game misconducts.
Oh yeah. Yeah, good point.
Let's go with. I'm going to go with not necessarily somebody who has amassed a lot of. Well, they have amassed a lot of penalty minutes already, but they've also done it consistently.
Okay.
Which is Adam Deutsch.
Okay.
Of
Interesting.
Panthers, because he has 31 already, 2 in the
Really?
first game against Sheffield, then 27 against Sheffield, and then 2 against Guildford.
Wow. Fair enough.
So, yes. Now, I heard from putting my mobile data on while trying to fix the internet that you've spoken about the Brits on Bruins podcast and the KHL.
Yeah, I'm just putting a picture of you up because I can't actually get the Skype going. So bear with me a second, okay?
Oh,
you talk. Go for it. Go for it. Talk.
Okay, well, what point have we got to?
I'm
Yeah.
up to the NWHL.
Okay, so the NWHL are being on Twitch this year, a 3-year
Yeah.
deal.
Which is really cool.
With Twitch. There'll be free streams of the National Women's Hockey League for anybody who doesn't know what it is, which is a great move to increase the exposure of women's hockey.
Absolutely. Especially because they're free
air.
live streams.
Free to air on Twitch, and that's going to be. I'm not sure exactly when their season kicks off. Kicks off.
Early October. It's like October.
Early October. Oh, so it's
4th
about
or
the same
something.
time. Okay.
Actually, wait. I've got it here. October 5th.
October 5th. Okay.
Twitch will stream
that'll be
all.
something.
So I've got the NWHL's article on it. Twitch will stream all NWHL's regular season games, the Isabel Cup playoffs, and special event games. The league and Twitch will collaborate on innovative content that increases the deep connection between NWHL players and fans. They're going to work on new fan engagement opportunities that enhance the live game viewing experience. Now, I think this could be something that other leagues look into. The reason I say this is because, for those of you who don't really know how Twitch works, it's a live streaming platform that predominantly gamers and like vloggers use, and there's a lot of interaction, like viewer interaction stuff that you can do on Twitch. So I'm going to be very interested to see, like, they can have polls running as the game's going on, who they think's going to score the next goal, who they think's going to win. They can have, like, different little, like, mini games running along the stream as the game is going on, which I think will work wonders to improve the fan experience. And given the fact that it's free, I'm probably going to check out some of these games. I'm not going to lie. Like, the National Women's Hockey League of North America, there used to be another league as well, but that recently disbanded. I can't quite remember the name of it off the top of my head. But I think this is really good. Like, there've been a league that I've never really known how to watch or how to engage with it that much. But now that I have a way to do that, it's going to be really awesome. And I want to try out these Twitch features. That could be a really unique selling point for the NWHL. That will really improve fan engagement as well, especially if they get like a few mods in their chat as well to be able to like run little events and stuff. I think that'd be really cool. So
presumably, being on Twitch, they're going to still be up there after the game's finished.
Yeah,
like
they can
normal Twitch streams.
Yeah, they archive the broadcasts. So yeah,
yes.
You'll be able to watch them all for free afterwards as well. So I would imagine like if they went down the route of like follow buttons or subscribe buttons like Twitch do, you might be able to get access to like exclusive stuff as well, which would be pretty cool. But the fact that they're showing games for free, I mean, that's kind of the exposure that something like the National Women's Hockey League needs, especially like they've been kind of trending upwards over the last few years, and now this is something quite big. So fair play to them. Like, I think this is really awesome. And yeah, like you say, Ben, highlights for the NWHL will just be like clips of just clips of you can clip stuff like automatically as you're watching a stream. So I think that will help tremendously. So yeah, National Women's Hockey League, great job. We then move on to the final few things before we open up to the last call where you guys can ask us questions. Let us know what you think. Any questions that we haven't discussed or something we didn't quite touch on in a certain perspective that you'd like us to discuss. Brits abroad. Hey. Absolutely. So
how you've missed our jingles.
So for those of you who don't know, Brits abroad is a section of this show where it's kind of self-explanatory, but for those of you who don't know, it's all the British players and coaches and higher-ups that are in different leagues around the world that it might not be easy to find the information, or you might forget to find the information on specific ones. And we just like to give it to you. Like, we'll do the work, you get to listen to what they've been up to. So we'll start with, I would say, the British hockey phenom of the last decade, Liam Kirk. Kirky. So he, of course, 7th round pick of the Arizona Coyotes in the 2018 draft. He has been invited to the Arizona Coyotes training camp before preseason takes place. And he's also playing in the rookie tournament with the Coyotes against the likes of the Ducks and the Golden Knights and things like that. So,
yes, he's on the second line.
Yeah, and by
second
the
line
sounds
left
of it,
wing.
He's done pretty well. So fair play to him. I'm not expecting him to get a spot on the NHL.
No, I
roster.
mean, I think it's I think we're all pretty clear that he's going to be going back to Peterborough.
Yeah,
I think even he knows that
because he's 19 now.
Yeah, I mean, this will be the start of the second year of a 3-year thing with Peterborough.
Yeah, so he is still eligible to play in Peterborough, so I would imagine he'd go back there. Hopefully he becomes a little bit more consistent with his point producing and his game, because he started off really well last year, went through a massive dip, and then finished the year relatively well.
Yeah, a bit of an injury, didn't he? So he went on coming off the back of the injury.
So,
he went on the dip.
We'll keep an eye on him, and he was pretty good in Peterborough's pre-season as well, so fair play to him. Hopefully he uses that experience at the NHL training camp to take that back to the OHL and hopefully light up the league. That'd be nice. Then, of course, the next few are just reminders because none of their stuff has happened yet. Paul Thompson and his Schweininger Wild Wings of the German DEL. They're going to be taken to the ice soon for the DEL 1920 season. So we'll keep an eye out on that for you. We'll let you know how his team does and keep you updated with how his job goes and whether they do well. And also a few new players, the same coach, but a few new players. A new addition to Brits Abroad this year is Corey Nielsen and his team, Lausitzer Fuchs of the DEL2, which is the league just below the DEL. His team now features GB forwards and in GB international forwards Robert Farmer and Mike Hammond. So we're going to be keeping an eye on those players for Brits Abroad as we go along as well, seeing how they do in the DEL2. Of course, Robert Farmer's been a mainstay of the Panthers for a very long time, so he's been given the chance to go and play in Germany, maybe make a name for himself over there. Why not? Fair play to him. I don't see why not. He's in the prime of his career at the moment. If there's ever a time for him to do it, the time is now. And Mike Hammond, who was incredible in the Elite League last season, hopefully showing that he has a lot of gas in the tank and can put up points consistently. So we wish luck to those three. And Pete Russell will be one that we keep an eye on as well, I think. That would be a good idea. Haven't got his team here because I completely forgot that he moved from the Glasgow Clan. But we'll get that for you next week. Essentially, this first episode has kind of had its problems, but we've got through a lot of pre-season information and start of the season information. So we've made it, guys. We made it to the end.
This is almost a little bit like our pre-season because we've not done this for
at
least 5 months now because it was about Easter when we did the last one.
Pretty much.
So it must be around, so it's around nearly half a year since we last did this one. So it's, we're getting back into it as well and remembering what settings to put it on. And
So once again, apologies for the technical difficulties. Apologies for Chris's internet exploding.
Some of them weren't our fault.
Yeah. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it and want to see another one. That would be good. For those of you who
hopefully
don't know,
I'll get decent internet when I've moved house, and then we won't have a video doorbell that takes the entire bandwidth, telling us there's somebody at the door when it's a bit windy and the hanging basket blows in front of the sensor.
Do you want to talk about that, Chris? I feel like you want to vent. Are you okay?
Yeah.
So, for those of you who don't know, this might be your first Icing on the Skate podcast. We do these podcasts every week on Monday night at 7 p.m. GMT, which is 2 p.m. Eastern time for you guys, 11 a.m. Pacific time, if that's the time zone you're in. I don't really know. You guys watch from everywhere, and it's great. I love to see it.
You really do. It's great.
Yeah, exactly. So we now move on to the last call. So this is the last thing we're going to go through for the podcast. If you have any questions, stick them in the chat for us, and we'll try to answer them. I have been paying attention to the chat as the podcast has gone along, which is why I've kept looking this way. But hopefully we managed to cover everything for you. This was very much like a preliminary podcast. We hope you guys tune into the Brits on Bruins podcast that will be taking place. We will let you know closer to the time on the podcast when that is. Things are looking quite exciting, I think, for our podcasting groups. So, what's your thoughts on the NIHL National, and will you be mentioning them more often? Not particularly.
It's good and bad.
Yeah, I mean, we'll probably mention interesting stories that come out of the NIHL, or interesting facts, or if Chris wants to mention something about the Lions or something that happens in the league.
Well, they're NIHL 1 now, not the National.
Yeah, true.
Obviously, if we are mentioning National Ice Hockey League stuff, that is predominantly going to come from me.
Yeah.
But with the Lions now in NIHL 1, it's good in a sense that the big sides that had the budget, your Hull, your Sheffield, Peterborough, Bracknell, Basingstoke, your ones like that, Swindon, are now in a league that suits them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Going into the North and South, they were that league didn't suit them because they just won every game by a stupid amount.
Too good for that league, not good enough for the Elite League. They needed their own little microcosm, you know.
So now that league is been set up, I think that's good. The problem, and this may well get sorted in by next season or what have you, is that it's left the leagues below for example, the NIHL One North with only 7 teams in it,
Yeah.
and so we're having to play. Um, it's 3 home and 3 away, and then a cup competition to kind of make up the figures,
Yeah.
to make up the game numbers. So that kind of needs sorting out. But no, I think on the whole, I mean, it's good to start with. Whether it sustains itself is another matter. But we may
Absolutely.
look at it in the future.
Yeah, I mean, we'll probably mention it every once in a while, but once all of the seasons kick off properly, we will have far too much to talk about anyway. So
Yeah, there's not
I'm
going to
not
be a
sure.
feature on it every
Yeah,
week.
there's not going to be a feature on it. It's also supply and demand as well. Like we know there are a few people that are interested in it, but if we have 3 times the amount of people more interested in listening to NHL stuff or our opinions on other stuff, then we'll have to go with that. Do you think Kirk will make it to the NHL or AHL after his time with Peterborough? If you want my honest opinion, I think the NHL is an absolute long shot. I mean, never say never, obviously, but I think him going to the NHL is an absolute long shot, especially given the fact he's a 7th round pick. He's not the kind of guy, especially since the start of his professional career, to just light up leagues. Like 50-goal seasons kind of thing. Like he did that when he was younger in the UK system, but the professional system's completely different kettle of fish. So I think the AHL is a realistic goal for him to aim for. Absolutely. Of course, it depends how his development goes over the next few seasons. Could I see him making the NHL and due to injuries or due to having a good stretch in the AHL, getting to play in maybe one NHL game in his career? Maybe. That would be pretty awesome. I'm not going to say that it's impossible because Kirky's a solid player, and if there's anybody from the UK that has the chance to play in an NHL game, he's probably the most possible. So I guess time will tell with that one. Let's see how he does with Peterborough. I think he'll go to the NHL after, not the AHL, sorry, after Peterborough, and then wherever he goes from there, I guess we'll find out. So we'll see. Yeah, I would say that's pretty much it for the podcast today. It's been about 90
Yep.
minutes, which is roughly our time that we like to aim for. It's been a bit shaky at points, this one, Chris, but we made it through. We're still alive.
We did.
We still have internet. We managed to get through all of our topics with a decent amount of time. Season 2, off to a bit of a rough start, but we got there in the end, which kind of sums up my channel and us. So, yeah. So, I'm going to thank you guys for watching the Season 2, Episode 1 debut episode of this season's Icing on the Skate podcast. I really do appreciate you guys coming out. If you're watching it like on demand or on the channel post live stream, thank you very much for watching. I hope it wasn't too bumpy of a ride for you. Hopefully things managed to stay relatively stable during the podcast. But yeah, I'm going to hopefully have another video out within the next couple of days. I'm very much kind of easing my way back into the schedule of stuff that I upload. Very much just kind of taking one video at a time. Because I'm still getting over jet lag for most of the day, so oh boo-hoo, poor me, whatever. So yeah, thank you very much for watching, guys. I hope you have enjoyed. Please feel free to like, subscribe, share, watch some of my other videos, check out some of my other live streams, anything like that. I might put out a poll within the next few days if you guys want me to do another live stream fantasy draft and live stream in NHL 20, because I haven't done I've got the 10-hour trial to that, and yeah, I've been playing it. It's okay, but I don't think I'll buy the game, so if you want a stream in it, now would be the time to ask. But other than that, yeah, thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you again for next week's episode on Monday at 7 PM. But for now, goodbye.
Woo.